Every story has a turning point, a moment when everything changes. The turning point.
I didn't open the envelope right away. I just sat there on the park bench, holding it in my lap like it might bite, like whatever was inside could change the rules of the game again, or end it completely. When I finally did, it wasn't dramatic. No gust of wind, no thunder in the distance, just the crinkle of paper and the sound of my own breath, shallow and tight. Inside were printed documents, dozens of them, transaction histories, shell companies, correspondence logs, IP traces, and then names, real names, not code names, not initials, people. Daniel was there, of course. His name showed up tied to transfers, consulting payments, and offshore structures. But he wasn't alone. One name made me freeze. Benjamin Holloway, the same Ben who looked me in the eye and said, "You didn't do this." His name was on a wire transfer, $32,000, routed through a holding account in Singapore. Description: System Integrity Services. My stomach turned. There was more. I kept flipping pages. And then I saw it. L. Harris, next to a figure I couldn't ignore. $25,000. The listed purpose? Independent Audit Consultancy, Strategic Communications. Lindsay. I blinked. Once. Twice. It had to be a coincidence, a different person, a mistake. But the name wasn't just similar. It was her full name, her signature. On a disclosure agreement dated 2 months before I was ever accused. I couldn't breathe. Had she lied? Had she played me from the beginning? Or was this deeper, some kind of infiltration, a plant? My phone buzzed. I jumped, looked down. Message from Lindsay. "We need to talk. Something's come up. Urgent." I didn't reply. I was already halfway to her office. And this time I wasn't coming to ask for help. I was coming for the truth. Lindsay's office looked different this time. Not in any physical way. The same bookshelf, same worn leather chair, same frame degrees. But something in the air had shifted, like the walls were listening now. She stood when I walked in. "Emma," she said softly, "I was just about to call again." I didn't sit. I pulled the envelope from my bag and set it on her desk without a word. Her face didn't change, not at first. She opened it, flipped through the pages, slowly, like she already knew what was inside. When she reached her own name, she paused, just for a breath, and then closed the folder. I crossed my arms. "Tell me it's a mistake." She didn't. Instead, she said, "You weren't supposed to see that." That sentence landed like a stone. "So it's true." She let out a slow exhale and finally sat down. Not defensive, not angry, tired. "Yes," she said, "it's true." I waited. "I got pulled in years ago," she said, "before I even started this practice. A firm I interned with. They handled offshore entities, complex tax structures. It all looked clean on paper." She looked up at me. But it wasn't. I stayed quiet. I wasn't laundering money. I didn't even know at first. But when I did find out, I tried to get out. And that's when I learned what these people really are. My throat tightened. They don't just move money, Emma. They move people, information, control. Her voice lowered. There's a whole infrastructure. Luxtalis is just one name, the prettier one. They operate under dozens, all tied to something called the Renewal Project. I blinked. I thought that was some kind of fake consultancy. It is, and it's not. She leaned forward. They run psychological conditioning seminars, clean reputations, create fake ones, push out employees, ruin whistleblowers, and the money that flows through, It doesn't come back clean. My hands were shaking. And you knew this whole time? No. Her voice cracked. I knew something, but I didn't know you were going to be one of their sacrifices. When I saw your case file, I recognized a pattern. It wasn't just an internal fraud. It had signatures, the way they write logs, fake trails. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to be inside to help you. She looked up. And because I was scared. I stepped back. Everything inside me wanted to scream, to walk out, but I stayed. Do they know you've turned? They suspect. She turned her monitor toward me. An email, anonymous, encrypted. Drop the Kessler thread, or you'll wish you had. She looked back at me. I think they're watching us both now. My mind was spinning. I came here looking for a traitor. What I found was someone already caught in the web. We have to finish this, I said. Lindsay nodded. But we have to move fast, before they close the walls around us. It was raining when I pulled up to Eli's apartment. Not pouring, just that slow, steady kind that makes everything feel heavier. He hadn't answered my messages in 2 days. No cryptic texts, no sarcastic one-liners, just silence. The building manager let me in, said he hadn't seen Eli in a while, and asked if I was family. I said yes. I don't know why. The door was unlocked. That was the first bad sign. The second was the smell. Faint, metallic, wrong. I stepped inside slowly. His place looked the same as always, chaotic, wires and parts and glowing screens, a half-eaten protein bar on the desk. But something felt still, too still. And then I saw him, on the floor, near the bed, face down, motionless. I froze. A second later, I was calling 911. I don't remember what I said, only that my voice didn't sound like mine. They ruled it a suicide. No signs of forced entry, no bruising, a bottle of pills nearby. Clean, too clean. After the paramedics left, I sat outside in my car for almost an hour. I couldn't cry, couldn't scream. I just stared at the dashboard and tried to process the impossible. Then something hit me. The laptop, the one I gave him, the one with the folder. I ran back inside, past the police tape, heart racing. It was gone. Not the other tech, not the expensive server or the stacks of encrypted drives, just that laptop. And then I saw it, on the desk, a small white envelope, my name written on it. Inside was a single flash drive, no label, no note, just the drive. I didn't plug it in right away. I took it home, locked the doors, turned off my phone, and stared at it like it might detonate. When I finally opened it, on a backup laptop Eli had given me weeks ago, it held just one thing, a folder, named If They Get Me. Inside were screenshots, audio files, system logs. Some I'd seen before, others were new. One showed a terminal window, a remote connection, into a secure Luxtalis server, time-stamped, traced, from our home IP address, the day before the first fake transfer. The folder ended with a text file. It read, "Emma, if you're seeing this, I either ran or I didn't get the chance. Don't trust anyone completely, not even her. Finish what we started. Burn it all if you have to. E." I sat there in the dark for a long time. Eli was gone, and now it was just me. But the game wasn't over, because the people who did this, they missed something. I'm still here. I didn't sleep that night, not because I couldn't, because I didn't want to. There was a line in Eli's note I couldn't shake. Not even her. Was he talking about Lindsay or someone else? It didn't matter. At this point, trust wasn't currency anymore. It was a liability. So I stopped trusting. I started digging. I spent the next day sifting through the folder Eli left behind. Most of it was dense. Packet logs, metadata dumps, terminal commands. But one file stood out. Renewal Access DocsX. It looked like an onboarding packet. The first page had a logo, a minimalist circle, pale blue, almost corporate. Under it, a name. The Renewal Project, Transformation Through Erasure. I stared at the tagline for a long time. The rest of the file read like a brochure. We help clients reinvent, remove digital burdens, curate identity, no history too heavy to shed. Then came the more chilling parts. Redirection through third-party intermediaries, legal firewall services, behavioral compliance conditioning, fail-safe planning. At the bottom of one page was a phrase highlighted in bold. Every liability can be rebranded or eliminated. This wasn't just a fake consulting group. It was a system, a machine, a place where people like Daniel didn't just escape accountability. They were rewarded for transferring the damage onto someone else. People like me. I followed the trail. The metadata in the packet pointed to an internal portal, buried behind a series of anonymous redirects. I cracked it using one of Eli's old tools. The site looked like a therapist's office, and a tech startup had a baby. Soft blues, soothing words, and then the client list. Most names were anonymized, but a few weren't. A university dean, a media executive, 2 senators' aides, and, at the bottom, Daniel Green. Under his name, status resolved, risk neutralized. My stomach turned. They weren't just helping him. They had closed me out, filed me under risk. I scrolled to the internal activity logs. There it was, a file labeled Emma Green Term Strategy PDF. I couldn't open it, encrypted. But the name said enough. They'd written a strategy for taking me down, how to isolate me, frame me, discredit me, and it worked until now. That night, I printed everything, made 3 copies, one for Lindsay, one for a federal contact Eli had quietly listed in a document labeled Dead Switch, and one I kept for myself. The next morning, I mailed the envelope to the Department of Justice. No return address, no note, just evidence. But I knew that wouldn't be the end of it, because people like this, they don't wait for subpoenas, they send warnings. That evening, as I walked back to my car, I saw it tucked under the windshield. A single photo, my sister, at the grocery store. On the back, "Stop digging, you've been warned." I sat in the driver's seat for almost 20 minutes, staring at the photo in my hands. My sister, unaware, smiling, holding a paper bag of apples. She had nothing to do with this, no clue how deep I was, no idea she'd just become a pressure point in someone else's playbook. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just felt still, like something inside me had gone cold. Not dead, just focused. They wanted me afraid. Instead, I started planning. I drove straight to Lindsay's office. She didn't even ask why I was there, just locked the door behind me and drew the blinds. I dropped the photo on her desk. She stared at it for a long time, then finally whispered, "It's starting." "No," I said. "It's already started. We're just finally admitting it." She nodded slowly. "What's the move?" I opened my bag and pulled out a file. Inside, copies of every log, screenshot, and page from the renewal project system. This is what they're protecting, I said, and it's time we weaponize it. We came up with the plan in under an hour, risky, messy, but it had to be fast. Step 1, I'd reach out to Daniel, pretend I'd snapped, pretend I was giving up, tell him I wanted to disappear, start over, just the two of us. No more lawyers, no more fighting. Play the part he expected, the folded version of me. Lindsay wasn't thrilled, but she understood. If he thinks you're ready to run, he'll relax. That's when he talks. That's when you'll get him. I won't be alone, I said. Right? No, but you'll need to wear the wire, and you'll need to play it exactly right. That night, I sent Daniel a message. Just 2 words. I'm done. He responded in seconds. Meet? I waited, then typed. One night, just us, off the grid. He replied with a location, a small hotel off Highway 9, the kind of place no one remembers the next day. Perfect. As I packed, I tucked the recording device inside a hollowed-out book cover. One Lindsay provided, FBI approved, court admissible. I slipped the flash drive Eli left me into my sock, the backup copy, just in case. Then I looked at myself in the mirror, hair down, no makeup, eyes sharp, face calm. Not the woman Daniel used to know, not the woman he destroyed, someone else now, someone dangerous. Before I left, I locked everything in a fireproof box and gave it to a courier. Destination, DOJ office, Washington, D.C. Delivery confirmed. Next day, just in case I didn't make it back. Because this wasn't just a trap for Daniel anymore. It was a line in the sand, and I wasn't crossing it. I was erasing it. The hotel smelled like bleach and old secrets. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the kind that made everything look just a little sick. Room 214, top floor, far end of the hallway. I knocked once. The door opened before I could raise my hand again. Daniel stood there, same crooked smile, same soft eyes, like nothing had happened, like we were still us. Hey, he said, stepping aside. Glad you came. I walked in without a word. The room was dim, one lamp in the corner, a bed, a desk, 2 chairs, neutral territory. He poured 2 glasses of something amber. Figured we could drink, talk, just you and me. I took the glass but didn't drink. He sat down across from me, legs relaxed, like this was a date. I knew you'd come around, he said. I always knew you were too smart to go down for this. I raised an eyebrow. He kept going. You were never the type to fight a war you couldn't win. That's what I always admired. You adapted. Always did what needed to be done. He smiled. I did too. I leaned back in the chair, voice flat. So tell me, Daniel, what did you do that needed to be done? He didn't answer right away, just swirled the drink in his glass, then chuckled. You want the truth? He said. The real truth? I didn't speak. You were in the way, not on purpose, just wrong place, wrong time. And they needed someone clean, sympathetic, innocent. He looked up. You were perfect. My stomach turned, but I held his gaze. You set me up. He nodded, almost proud. Every system leaves fingerprints. I just redirected yours. He took a sip. You didn't deserve it, but no one ever does. That's what they teach you early on. They? Daniel grinned. The people who fix things, the ones who know where the bodies are buried, because they're the ones who buried them. He leaned forward. You think you're the only one, Em? There have been dozens. Some fought it, some disappeared, most folded. He touched his chest. I didn't fold. I climbed. He went quiet for a second, then added softer. And now I get to disappear too. New name, new job, full immunity. He looked right at me. If you want, you can come with me. Start over. Forget all this. I stared at him. You really think I'd go with you? He laughed. No, but it was worth a shot. He stood up, walked to the window. You should go soon. They don't like long goodbyes. And if they think you're stalling... The door burst open. 3 agents, badges up, weapons drawn. Daniel froze. Daniel Green, one of them barked. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, witness tampering, and obstruction of justice. He turned slowly, looked at me. You set me up. I stood. No, I said. You did that all by yourself. I just made sure someone was finally listening. They cuffed him. He didn't resist. As they walked him out, he looked back one last time. That smile again, cracked now, fractured. Then the door closed behind him. Lindsay stepped into the room seconds later. Her eyes met mine. It's done, she said. They got everything. I nodded. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, because the truth was, this wasn't a win. This was survival, and survival always costs something. The story hit the news 3 days later. At first, just a small piece on a local station. Tech consultant arrested in multi-state fraud investigation. No names, no details. But by the end of the week, it had gone national. Luxtalis Group, tied to criminal network targeting employees as fall guys in multi-million-dollar laundering scheme. FBI confirms indictments against 3 high-level executives. Anonymous insider whistleblower key to breaking case. They meant me, but my name was never mentioned, and that's how I knew the system was finally working. Not because it protected me, but because it erased me. Daniel's face was on every screen for a full news cycle, still looked calm, like he was already planning his appeal. But there were no more appeals. With the recordings, the documents, the backdoor Eli had found, they had him cold. Ben Holloway took a deal, gave up internal logs, contracts, access codes, said he never knew how far it went. Maybe he was telling the truth, maybe not. It didn't matter anymore, because the house was burning now, and everyone inside was scrambling for the exits. Lindsay testified before a closed grand jury. She was offered immunity in exchange for full cooperation. She took it. Afterward, she left the city. No forwarding address, no goodbyes. I understood. Some things you don't come back from. The renewal project site went dark a week later. Servers seized, assets frozen, subpoenas flying like shrapnel. But part of me knew this wasn't the end. People like that don't vanish overnight. They relocate, restructure, rename. They wait. But now at least someone was watching them, and someone had struck first. I got the call one morning from a voice I didn't recognize. Ms. Green? Yes? This is Agent Merrill with the Justice Department. We'd like to discuss relocation options, protection, clean slate, new start. I looked out the window. Same street, same trees, same sky, but none of it felt like mine anymore. Okay, I said, and just like that, I agreed to disappear. A week later, I boarded a plane with a new name. No contact, no trace, just a bag, a file, and a future that didn't belong to anyone but me. But I carried one thing with me, a flash drive, the original one, not because I needed it, but because I wanted to remember. The apartment was small, plain walls, thin carpet, a chipped mug in the cupboard that said, "Have a nice day." It wasn't home, but it was safe. Sometimes that's enough. I had a job now, nothing special. Inventory systems for a regional warehouse. Quiet, predictable, just how I wanted it. They called me Grace Monroe. I answered to it like I always had. Eventually, even the name Emma Green started to sound like fiction, like a character from someone else's story, and maybe that's all she ever was. One afternoon, I walked to the mailbox, bills, coupons, a political flyer, and one envelope with no return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper, typed, centered. You did good, they won't find you, but there are others still inside. No name, no instructions, just that. I read it twice, then folded it neatly and tucked it into a drawer I didn't use. That night I sat by the window. The city outside was quiet, new streets, new lives behind every window. And somewhere, maybe, someone else was reading their first warning, like I had, months ago. Only this time, I wasn't the one being hunted. I was the one watching. I picked up a pen, opened a notebook, and on the first page, I wrote 3 words. It's not over.
If this story moved you, there's more to come. Subscribe and don't miss the next turning point.